You make big money, you want to drive a nice car, and athletes, they are no exception. Author Barbara Terry knows firsthand. She has just released her new book, How Athletes Roll. Here's a copy of it right here. She joins us now with a preview on this. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is an interesting read because it looks at 40 different athletes, the cars that they drive, and it really kind of tells a little bit about the personality of these guys.
Well, not just cars, but trucks and tractors and bulldozers, SUVs, Arnold Palmer with his jets. Yeah, so it's really how they roll. You know, the book's called How Athletes Roll, so I really wanted to focus on how they get around exactly. And so I traveled the country for about a year and a half on and off and interviewed all of these amazing, charming people.
And what was, say, I know there's a lot of interesting stories. What was one of the more interesting ones that stood out to you?
Oh, wow. Roy Oswalt, running from the cops, when he was a teenager in a little Honda Accord, and they actually got away from him, but somebody tipped him off several days later, and yeah, all of his friends and him got in trouble. But you know, what really stood out to me may not be what would stand out to you or other readers. You know, I'm a big Cowboys fan. I understand you are too. You know, so you know, Too Tall Jones and talking about his history with vehicles, and Michael Strahan growing up in Germany, and so learning how to drive on the Autobahn. I mean, who knew that? But there's all those complex stories. Bruce Jenner talks about some really cool car stories, and they all had an amazing passion and interest to want to be in the book, because they're never asked about what their first car was or what they currently own, or if there's a dream car they had yet to purchase.
And really, I mean, you look at the names, you go down the list here, you've got all sports represented. Hockey, you've got Rod Brindamore here, Dexter Coakley, we were talking about some of the Dallas Cowboys that are on here, Sean Marion, another big name, Sugar Ray Leonard. And a lot of these guys, it's not just 1, 2, or 3 cars. I mean, it's 10, 15 cars in some cases.
A lot of it, yes. Especially like Bill Goldberg. We pulled up we thought it was his house. No, it was just the structure that was built specifically for his cars. But I really wanted to also keep in mind and put together a book of athletes that have real cars. So I only put a few of the Sean Marions and the Michael Strahan type guys in there, with the Aston Martins and Ferraris. Most of my athletes in there drive what you or I would drive, and they all of their first car purchase was something that we all can identify with. So I wanted to make sure that my readers could identify with these athletes and their car choices.
Did any of them hold on to that first car or cars that they may have gotten early in their careers, kind of as a sentimental car?
Well, some of them, that was obviously one of my questions. Some of the cars were beat up too bad. And so a good response for a lot of the athletes had was that the car was sitting in some junkyard somewhere. But speaking of an earlier car, what sticks out in my mind right now is David Reagan, NASCAR driver. His dad had this old classic Corvette, and to help David's racing career in the very beginning, his dad sold that Corvette for some funds. And David, years later, once he found success, found that exact Corvette sitting in Pennsylvania and contacted the guy. The guy initially did not want to sell it, but David kept sweetening the deal until he talked this owner into selling it back to him, and he surprised his dad with it. So it's an amazing story.
That's awesome. Well, a lot of stories like that in here as well. Again, thank you so much for coming on the book. Looking forward to reading this, because this looks like it's a fun read. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, she's going to be appearing tonight, 6:30 at Barnes & Noble across from Woodland Hills Mall for book signing. An opportunity to pick this up and get it signed by the author herself. So very cool stuff. If you're a sports fan, if you're not a sports fan, it's a great read either